Hey, it's Casey, and today I'll be talking about how electric cars compare to gas cars pertaining to their emissions of gases, greenhouse gases. So, if you're familiar with electric vehicles and gas cars, you know that one is powered by fossil fuels and the other is powered by electric battery. So, it's pretty obvious which one is worse for the environment, right? No, you're wrong. So, let's start out with gas cars. Turns out the stats on them are horrible. Out of all the energy they use, 26% is used to actually push the car, and the rest is lost as heat energy within the engine. So when you put in 100 gallons of gas, 74 of them are wasted. Electric cars, on the other hand, are very energy efficient. About 60% of the energy that they use in their battery goes towards movement, and they only lose 40% for about the same reasons as the gas cars. They also use magnetism to turn all the parts and they're charged, so there's no emissions, at least when they're running. So when electric vehicles are charged, they're using electricity from the grid, and the grid doesn't just make power out of nowhere, it makes it from their fuels. So the problem across America is 70% of all powerhouses across the nation are used from fossil fuels. So the fossil fuels have so much energy density that it's almost impossible to switch out of them without a good alternative. So we're still using 40% of all our powerhouses with coal. So when coal is burned, about 62% of its energy is lost. So kind of like what happens with the gasoline engine. Right when the coal is burned, it's basically what happens with the gasoline. It just loses all of its energy as heat energy. So another 2% is lost in the power lines, and you eventually end up with about 36% at your plug. So this 36% is also combated with the 60% energy efficiency of the electric vehicle. So only 60% of that 36% is actually used to move the electric vehicle, which turns out to be about 21.6% of the initial energy, whereas gas conventional cars use around 26% of their initial energy. So it turns out that electric vehicles use a bit more energy than gas cars, and that's particularly bad when coal is used, because coal is a lot worse than gasoline in terms of air pollution, CO2 pollution. So when a power plant uses coal and an electric vehicle is powered by that coal plant, it's worse for the environment than an actual gasoline plant. So here is all the power plant sector emissions across the US, and this means that for each of these dots, this is where a power plant is either run on natural gas or coal. So most of it happens in the east. Most of the east has the coal deposits or the natural gas deposits, not so much in the west, Midwest, but in California we have a little bit of natural gas. This, of course, is totally voided when an electric vehicle is powered by solar panels. So around 40% of electric vehicle owners have solar panels, which is a huge number. So there's already something working towards getting rid of this problem, but in the meantime, it's still a problem. So the only thing to combat this is awareness and legislation, because as far you don't have a choice of where your power comes from. So we need to change where the power comes from. Thank you.